The Illager raids have roasted this once lush land to ruin. Only one village remains unspoiled in this corner of the world. Make haste, hero. You must warn the villagers there of the battle to come. You are their only hope.
Gargantua on the Virtuous Planet is on your recommendations list. We liked that one. It was shorter than we wanted it to be, and the ending was kind of lackluster, but the characters were charming. The world design was neat.
Mm-hmm. The main character was definitely one of those I'm emotionless kind of guys, though.
Yeah, they were very much trying to make him Gundam Wing-ish.
And obviously they juxtaposed him with very bubbly, excitable female lead, but still it was kind of awkward. I don't know what's going on in here. There we go.
So one thing I really like about this game is you know where all of the loot generally is going to drop.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if you want to get more equipment like what I'm wearing, you go back into the temple. With some exceptions. But it means farming for your specific gear set is actually real easy. With some exceptions again. But I thought that part was really cool. Whereas like in Diablo, I'm usually just like, well, I'll just go until I get the good thing.
So you just have a poison glaive going on?
Yeah, so I got a poison glaive that whenever I finish my combo, which is like a 3-hit combo, I do a spin.
Ooh.
I also have 2 of those deathcap mushrooms. Hi.
We're on a ship.
I picked up sickles.
Interesting.
I keep
Is it a
finding
new weapon type?
Yeah. I keep finding new weapon types, and it's kind of great.
Huh. Interesting.
But yeah, the glaive does poison clouds. Unfortunately, it's not great. I wish I had lightning instead. But the poison cloud is just like baked into what this weapon is. Let's see, have you seen the Buddha anime? Do you mean the one with Buddha and Jesus?
Yeah.
I've seen a bit of it.
I've heard of it.
I couldn't get into it. The clips I've seen of it are hilarious, but the actual like full episodes are kind of boring.
Uh-oh, that's not good. There we go. Watch out, guys. Low behind you.
It's okay. Okay. But yeah, I think when it comes down to it, I have problems with anime just because, like we were talking, so much harem, so much light novel stuff.
There's also very similar tropes. It takes a bit for us to latch on to a series and say we're going to keep watching it.
Yeah.
We've definitely watched a lot of episode 1 and 2s.
And then we get bored quickly. In a lot of cases, it's like the same characters in just slightly different situations. Like, I cannot tell you how many trash isekai I've read, and how just horrifically dull almost all of them are. Like, it's weird. I really loved
Unfortunately, I got caught and couldn't get past those guys.
I really loved Shield Hero up until I started watching the anime. And I feel like the anime kind of ruined it for me because they pushed the harem elements a lot more.
And we were watching for a while the slime, like reincarnated as a slime. But the problem with that one was the formula for the episodes was so predictable. Just meet new people, like new monster group.
So one thing I have noticed,
monster group. The slime guy is able to do, he's able to perform miraculous feats. He's able to win their favor, defeat some baddies.
The main thing is just that because it's a light novel.
Yeah.
It's an amateur writer on kind of one of those like eternal writing projects. And the thing is, like,
characters that are just OP.
A lot of the stories, and I think that's the thing though, a lot of writing does tend to be power fantasy stuff because that is popular.
And isekais are in a way power fantasy.
Almost always.
Putting people in the shoes of a video game character, but
it's also just hard to write proper power scaling. That's for you.
Yep.
But it can be a little bit of a letdown because it's just less interesting. I think now that I'm older, see if you watched Iron-Blooded Orphans, I watched an amount of it until the harem parts started to like really wear on me. Because there are 2 female characters that are in love with the main character, and
well, you despise love triangles.
I hate love triangles. That is like my #1 thing that will make me quit a series, is if there is like a super overt and not necessary love triangle. Apple for you. Because it always just exists to slow the story down.
Cause tensions. Woo hoo hoo. Oh, whoa. I must have hit that TNT.
No, I chucked it. Yeah. But yeah, I will go back to Iron-Blooded Orphans at some point and probably enjoy it. But at the time I was busy. I think I was... Gosh. I don't remember when it was airing, but I think I saw the first couple episodes when I was unemployed.
And that's the other thing, too. I'm hard-pressed to get Wander to stop and watch anything anymore because he's intent on writing something of his own. And I appreciate that in a way, but I do miss being able to discuss things that we would watch together. Because to me, watching movies was one of the major pastimes that my family had as a unit, if you will. We played a lot of board games together. Essentially, after dinner, if we didn't have any homework and such, what would my family do? We would either watch a movie or some TV or play some board games. Or video games, in the case of my brother and I, or maybe if my father decided to play a game for himself, my brother and I would watch if we were really little. That was back in the day. But
The Ascendance of a Bookworm is pretty good. I liked it. It was slow, but I liked it. Mainly because it was that was good isekai. I could get into that one. I just stopped after a while because the manga was coming out at a glacial pace. Could have read the light novel, but I just wasn't as passionate about it. One of my problems is Japanese to English translation is miserable half the time. And nothing bothers me more. Well, no, there's a lot of things that bother me with translation. But, like, it's super weird when I'm reading a light novel or a manga transition where they're keeping all of the honorifics and stuff in. Like, it makes sense here and there, but it's like, it can be a little pushy. Here, let me pick up the arrows. I think I got them. Because I think you're at max cap. You have 300 arrows. Yeah.
Is 300 max?
I don't know if 300 is max cap, but you have a lot of arrows.
Okay, I'll have to use them. No, those barrels weren't destructible.
But no, my big issue is I consume content for a living. And, like, imagine if you had to watch anime for a living. Would you really want to watch... would you really want to play JRPGs after the fact? Probably not. Like, I know a lot of people would say, like, that's my dream job, but the answer is, like, it does ruin it. There is no escaping... wow, that was quick. There is no escaping content fatigue.
Well, I think it's once again the whole of you wanting to create something for yourself as opposed to just consuming other people's content.
Oh, get away, get away. I'm sorry, I forgot I had a TNT on my head.
Okay.
But yeah, like,
Ooh, lever.
Yep. I think part of the problems I run into is I keep reading these stories, playing these games. Oh, those are supposed to spit units whenever you play them.
And it's funny because we play and watch enough that people go, wow, you know, you called the plot in the first episode, or, you know, this plot
because after
twist.
a certain point, they're all the same.
Not all the same.
Wow, you get 100 arrows every time you pick up a stack.
How?
Wow. It's a combination of your armor and that new bow of yours.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, I love stories, I love storytelling, but the problem is, like, there are only so many tropes. And even, like, the wildest twists I've likely seen before in some capacity.
And also, it's quite amazing how the older we've gotten, the more we've started to pick plots apart to the point where we go, oh, this was actually...
Shall come back, please?
Actually...
There's a boss here that I can't see unless you get close to him.
Bad writing. I'm just perplexed at how much bad writing we've seen, even in Hollywood.
Yep.
In this day and age.
And so... It's... Every time I play a game that I'm, like, excited for and the plot is bad, I'm kind of let down. But I'm also clued into any other game in the genre for, like, a trope or three that I'll just recognize perpetually.
And while I'm not usually appreciative of mindless hack and slashes, this is fun.
This is fun. And it's low demand, I guess I would say. Here.
I'm still a fan of RPGs.
There's a bow back here.
Yes, I see it.
I'm a fan of RPGs, but they take so long to beat. We also want to go this way.
Though there have been a lot of bite-sized story-based games that are only about 5 hours long, 10 hours long. Yeah,
we've been having decent luck with shorter games lately, being not terrible. Wanda, did you enjoy Made in the Abyss? So I've been reading the manga for that, and I love everything about it except for the fact that it is borderline... Oh, gosh, I don't even want to say what it is.
Is it pedo?
A little.
Is that what
but
you're
it's
saying?
Like, no, yeah.
What's going...
It's like, there's not a whole lot of directly NSFW stuff. But there's so much torturing children.
Right?
So much screaming, so much, like... I'm gonna say there's, like, bodily fluids and stuff in a way that I don't like. Watch out for that. Back up, back up, back up.
Yep.
And so, like, I can understand why people like it. I love the world building and a lot of other stuff. But, like, reading it, you can tell that the author specifically made the characters young so that the torturing them would have a greater, like, emotional impact for the writers. The readers. And it's a very real possibility that, like, he just gets off on that. And I don't like that. And to be honest, like, I can only stomach so much of, like, watching illustrated children screaming before I just, like, lose all the interest.
And you go, why am I watching this?
Yeah. So, like, I can understand and respect why people like it, but, like, holy crap. I can't get into it. If somebody remade Made in the Abyss, but for adults, with less of the, like, just weird, creepy horror bits, and more of the, like, this is dark, yes, but I'm describing Dungeon Meshi right now. I realize that's exactly what I'm describing, because you're effectively delving down into this, like, not infinitely dangerous dungeon, with, like, actually horror bits, but, like, it is 100% everything I liked about Made in the Abyss, slightly less beautiful, well, I don't know, maybe less imaginative, but better constructed. Dungeon Meshi is my favorite manga. I can't wait for it to be made into an anime, but I hope they don't rush it. I hope they take their time. The loose translation of Dungeon Meshi is Dining in Dungeon. It's about a bunch of people that go into dungeons and just eat monsters in there instead of bringing rations with them. So every chapter,
cooking.
Yeah, every chapter is them specifically, like, hunting down a monster and eating it, but, like, there's a decent amount of plot progress that, you know... how would I describe it? It's like everything you might have liked out of Food Wars, but without all of the weird, creepy power creep and...
We're fighting futons.
You can grab some arrows. You're using more than I am.
So, you gotta...
Why is this an elite sheep? What is going on? I don't get it.
No, they're all enchanted. What is up
They're
with them?
just champion burning sheep, and they need to die. Thank you. But no, that's something I've always kind of struggled with when it comes to anime, is that a lot of it really does feel like power fantasy stuff in the worst possible way. It's usually made to make up for some kind of deficiency in the author's or the creator's life. Be it, lack of romance with multiple women at once, lack of romance with women younger than the legal age, and it's like, gosh.
Oh, gross.
Yeah. And so it's like...
That's actually one of the barriers that I've had with writing. I've had this story in the works for a number of years. I think I had first envisioned it in high school, and it's become more of a world-building project for me, in part because when I was a teen, I crushed on aliens and really cool heroic characters that typically weren't human. And I thought, I'll create some awesome characters, and I'll have a main female protagonist that's sure human, whatnot, but maybe has some powers and abilities. And definitely it was my own wish fulfillment fantasy where, goes to new realms, meets a bunch of new alien races and people, saves the day.
Oh, right.
Creates a band of stalwart heroes, and falls in love eventually. And it was so cute.
Absolutely self-insert.
Yes. But the problem is, Wander is nothing at all like that main male character that my female character would fall in love with. And now that I'm with Wander, it kind of feels wrong. I have to separate myself from the main female protagonist. That's part of the reason why
I've been trying to write a female protagonist instead of a male protagonist, because it's easier to separate myself out.
Oh yeah, and I find that I'm actually better at writing male protagonists than female protagonists, in part because of that as well. But then again, my main male protagonists are also usually aliens.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm reading a book of my brother's suggestion called Ancillary Justice. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Are all the characters aliens?
No, but the main character is an AI inhabiting the dead body of a war slave.
Okay, that's something.
Yeah, it's real new. It's kind of strange. I like it. The pacing is real slow. That's the one problem. Because it keeps jumping back and forth between like 3 different time periods, and that gets a little confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. But
yeah, so in any case, I fancied myself just world building instead. And if I finally get around to my story and figure out how to make it stand on its own without the awkward self-insert nature of it, then I'll be good.
Let's see. Some of the music gets kind of loud. Yeah, unfortunately, the music is generally regularly pretty quiet. I might want to turn down the sound effects a little bit more. So I'm noticing that's pushing it a little bit. But, the game is normally quiet, except for when you get into boss fight, or, mid-boss fight, or evoker fight, at which point suddenly it's real loud, and it's like, oh, come on. There are certain games that let you set a dynamic range for how loud the music is. So higher highs, lower lows, or just compress it down so it's all kind of averaged out. I love it when games have that. This does not. Let's see, what do you think about the author of Rurouni Kenshin? Oh gosh, yeah, I refuse to even think about that series anymore, which is a darn shame.
I remember my friends liked Rurouni Kenshin.
Yeah, it was a legit good story.
I watched, I didn't watch. I read the very, very beginning of it, but I knew that Samurai X was hardcore, so
it was definitely darker, but gosh, did he go to prison? I forget. I don't generally just hang out here on the other side of this.
You made a mistake.
Hang out outside the squares because the enemies are just spawning inside the square, and so you can just funnel them into a single entrance, and it's so much easier. But no, I will admit I'm a bit of
You do not separate the medium from the author.
Yeah, I do not. I can.
Let's just put it that way.
But I don't want to, because ultimately, the author, in no way, shape, or form...
Supporting the franchise or the series.
Get back there! It's just bullying the guy into the corner.
Do I have pretty much unlimited ammunition at this point?
You have a ton, yes.
Because I haven't really dipped below 350
Because
for a
you've
while.
got 50% infinite ammo and madcap ammo gain. Yeah.
You did it. And the villagers of the pumpkin pastures go on to fight another day.
But yeah, so no, I cannot actually separate myself, the art from the author, and my opinions.
Yeah, Wanderer has dropped a number of gaming series because of that.
A number of studios. I just refuse to touch their game because, you know what? Let's see. That would be nice. Ooh, nope. It's not actually better. Some more thief armor. One more thief armor because it gives me attack speed, which is really nice. Almost done yet.
And let me see what I have that I can throw away. Probably everything because nothing's going to top my current gear.
I would just get rid of everything that you have. But yeah,
I do have a special llama.
I think that's actually the one you had.
Really?
Yeah, level 22. That was the one you started the session with. So yeah, just recycle everything. You don't need any of it. Yeah, recently found out about the Cultist Simulator dev who turned out to be abusive towards women. He would emotionally abuse ex-girlfriends, and...
That seems to happen a lot, though.
Yeah, so effectively he was the studio head at the company that made...
I haven't used my fire arrows at all. I should.
You should, though you don't really need it as much.
What are these? I probably want to keep my current set of armor, though, don't I?
Yeah, I just recycle everything. Don't even think about it. If you've got a good build going on, who cares?
Oh, 10 plus 10 arrows per bundle. 30% range damage.
But yeah, so the guy would specifically, like, isolate his ex-girlfriend that no one knew he was in a relationship while he was in the relationship with, like, another one of his employees, which was just... Well, no. Like, he wasn't cheating. He was...
But if you're keeping
his ex was still working at the same place.
Oh.
And he was being secretly awful to her. And, you know, hiding it from everybody else and a bunch of other things. Like, it just wasn't not good.
I mean, there's been a number of things that have come out. We don't have to list them all because it's extensive, but just one of those things where it's kind of like a boycott, if you will.
Yeah.
Where you boycott companies if they don't have good
rumblings in the mountains of the overworld.
Technically, we already saw this.
Oh yeah, we've already seen it.
Say the Illagers are building some.
I'll skip it.
They're building something in the deep, something comprised of fire and smoke.
Yep.
And metal.
They're making a Balrog.
They're making a Balrog. They've delved too deeply and too greedily.
Let's see. But yeah, the thing is, we're at a time in history where we have so much content to consume. There's no reason why you should consume media from something or somebody that you do not that you dislike. I've got it's like a 50 ow. Watch out for the minecarts, they hurt.
Yeah, you're right.
I've got like a 50% attack speed bonus when I consume mushroom, which makes me very aggressive.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, watch out for the bear traps that the evoker drops.
Snappy.
Like I said.
I tried. It's just hard when we're on such a narrow pass.
What if we can, like, pass up on drops? Let's see. But yeah, I will actively go out of my way to avoid... Wow, that bow is nuts.
Yeah, sometimes it's restaurants, sometimes it's places to purchase things.
So what's a good example? Unless I have, like, zero choice, I will actively avoid, say, shopping at Walmart. because I don't really like Walmart or the Waltons that much.
And because of my own personal
Same thing
experiences
with
with
McDonald's.
Amazon having people trying to sell my artwork on it, I've definitely stopped, if not
we want to go the other way.
Purchase
I think.
things from Amazon.
Oh no, there's nothing the other way.
Not to mention, Amazon pretty much. There's so much wrong with the warehouses, the way that they overwork the workers.
Supplies.
Supplies.
Okay, I'm gonna snag these. You have tons. I don't need as many arrows as you do, but I need a little bit.
Well, also, I have 1,000 arrows. What do you, or no,
No,
that's
you have
1,000 coins.
143.
Sorry.
Yep.
I was looking at the wrong
Ow,
number.
I've died. Holy crap, that bow is nuts.
I'm just gonna have to keep using it.
That's fine. You barely used arrows to begin with. Okay. You just have a machine gun.
Yeah, I do. It's nice.
Let's see. One cannot judge all art based on the artist. Yeah, you can. For example, did you know that the guy that wrote Lord of the Flies was a Nazi sympathizer? And part of the reason why that book is so messed up is because he wrote more or less all of the characters as him in different states of mind. And so the reason why it's like so gross and brutal is because he couldn't think of a human reacting any other way.
I mean, maybe it was just to explore like the baser evils of the human,
Not really.
like condition.
No. I mean, yeah, kind of. So, like, you're right. Some art can be divorced from the artist, but at the same time, like, if an artist writes a good story, if an artist makes a great piece of art, but he's still a scumbag, he's still a scumbag. What's a good example?
As I said before, though, it's kind of like a boycott.
So, like, even if there might be a passive, there might be a message or something about the story that is good, why do I don't need to waste my time on something that is therefore mildly tainted? Like, what's a good example?
But also, too, you don't want to financially support someone that you find deplorable.
And I refuse to pirate it either, so, like, easy to just, like, step away, not do it.
It is sad, though, that when there are instances where you've enjoyed something and then you find out after the fact,
Yep.
Because it doesn't necessarily change what you felt or thought about the series when you initially experienced it, but
finding out that the guy for Rurouni Kenshin was,
I mean, it might make you recontextualize things and analyze it in a different way.
Maybe.
Or, ouch.
I don't really do that as much because at that point I don't want to get back into their headspace.
No.
You know, it's easier for me to just be like, well, never mind on that, and then move on. And yeah, there are such things as context.
I'm gonna run out of arrows, actually, if I don't keep that up.
Yeah. Anything back here? Nope. Aha. And, like, yeah, you can apply this to a lot of things. Like, if a chef is a jerk, but he makes the best food ever, like, can you kind of reconcile that? And for me, it's like, but I'd be perfectly fine going to the chef down the street that makes, like, food 80% as good as best chef ever.
At the same time, you can't know what your chef's life is
True.
like.
But if,
typically.
well, okay, do you remember...
So unfortunately, it seems like you really only know celebrities.
Yeah, kind of. But, like, do you remember me talking about Kitchen Nightmares?
Yeah, at one point.
Yeah. I guess Papa John's is a great example. I, as a kid, loved Papa John's. You can just have all the arrows. Oh, you already opened this up.
Yep.
I absolutely loved Papa John's pizza. And then finding out about all of Papa John's, like, political stances and religious stances and how they treat their employees, I was like, yep, nope, not touching this.
Yeah, it's kind of like how Hobby Lobby was one of the few places that you could get the glitter film necessary for making your buttons sparkly at conventions. And, you know, being a convention artist, you know, having nice sparkly buttons is a good draw for people. But at the same time, I go, do I really want to be giving, you know, $16 every year to Hobby Lobby, which steals ancient artifacts from the Middle East and then, you know, tries to take healthcare away from their workers, among other things, and are just trying to push their religious views and whatnot. And just like, no, I don't want to support that.
Regarding Papa John's, he is not there anymore. True, but I don't believe for a second they kicked him out because of his opinions. They kicked him out because he was not profitable anymore. That they removed him from his position because he was hurting the company, not because he was an evil man. And from my perspective, I guess, the cost for me to stick to my guns in this regard is so low. Ow.
It was the cart, wasn't it?
Yeah, I like avoided the cart at the top, and then because I was near the bottom of the screen, I wasn't paying as much attention.
Oh, you need to heal up.
Yeah, I do.
We're freeing the miners?
Yep. I should probably remove this heal thing. It's not actually helping me as much anymore. I'm too mobile. Let's see. But, like, for me to feel like I'm a good person, I have to generally try and support companies that I personally see as good and moral.
As a consumer, it's the only viable thing you have.
Yeah, is my wallet, my spending choices, and so on and so forth. And so, like, yeah, it's super easy to just say, like, yeah, but, like, so-and-so wrote this story, but just because, like, oh, well, I mean, the guy that wrote Lord of the Flies is a Nazi sympathizer and, like, an awful person doesn't mean that, like, there isn't an important message there. And it's like, it's true. Lord of the Flies does actually have an important message attached to it. But that message is told by so many other things that, like, why say this is the end-all be-all? You know, there's a billion stores out there.
Oh, I should use... How do I use the flame arrows? By holding it?
No, you've activated it. It just gives you, like, 10 arrows.
Oh, nice.
Okay, where's this
This
guy?
is really cool music.
There he is. Yeah, this is the really loud music, too. There he goes.
I mean, my flame arrows do
Yep.
a good job there.
Yeah, they do. Let's see.
But what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. The weird thing about Lord of the Flies for me was I had to read it as part of Honors English, and we were given we were supposed to get a composition notebook, and we were each assigned one of 4 of the main characters. I was specifically assigned to Simon, and I don't know if everyone in the audience knows what happens to Simon.
I was the only kid with glasses in my class, so I kept getting Ralph.
Really?
Whatever his name was.
Piggy.
Piggy.
Oh gosh, this is... What? It's on fire! What do we do? Is there a safe spot?
Don't stand in the damage zones on the ground. Anyway. See, for you, you'd only avoid it if the producer got in the way of the product. Damn it. Well, I tried rolling through that, but you just got this. Well, pick me up when you get the chance.
There you go.
But yeah, from my perspective, even if the creator has no hand in the actual product, let's say merchandise at Walmart has nothing to do with the Waltons at this point. I still don't like the Waltons, and I don't believe they should have...
But if you can get the same
if I can get the same product
store
elsewhere, like if I can buy a pizza from Papa John's that is elsewhere, if I can play another decent Eldritch game instead of playing Cultist Simulator. You know, there are so very few situations where it's like, if I want to get blank, I have to go through this singular source. And claiming anything else is either just being...
Is this a better... Oh, you're on your screen.
Give me a second. I'm just trashing these. Alright, is what a what?
I think I got a better key.
Yeah, you got a better super laser.
It's weird because it's still common, but
Nasty opinions don't change the fact that food is nice. There's so much food. Like, unless you live in the middle of podunk nowhere, and you truly have no choice, at which point, like, yeah, okay, there are many exceptions always, but like, I live in the outskirts of Portland. There are so many options that if I found out that, like, the restaurant up the street is run by, let's say, anti-gay people, I'd just be like, alright, yeah, I'm never going back there. And no skin off my back. Let's see, what do I need? Heck if I know. And so, like, it's very rare for me to find...
did you actually get an interesting item?
I'm getting a number of interesting items. Now that we're, like, max level, I think the pool is fuller of
You're getting interesting
stuff. So yeah, we have the Slicer, which does faster projectiles, chance to fire piercing bolts. I can also have them ricochet or push back. Well, I like this better. Saber Wing was cool, but I don't think I was really terribly passionate about it. Oh, stronger charged attacks. That's my issue with it. Also a mace. I'm gonna just try this. Okay. Neat. What does the soul robe do? Extra souls gathered, extra artifact damage. Ooh, what's this? Soul speed. Oh, stacking movement speed bonus. But yeah, if I found out that a business up the street from me was just straight up evil, I'd just never eat them there again. Easiest example, like I said, Papa John's and or
Chick-fil-A and stuff?
Chick-fil-A, yeah. I refuse to eat at Chick-fil-A. We had it once, and it was like, it was okay. But when it boils down to it, I don't need to eat there. And that's totally fine for me. Really care about those chains in the end.
Alright, now I can connect you to good stuff. I do not like... I'm not getting really good stuff there.
Let's see. Different beliefs equals evil. It depends on the belief. Let's see. What's a good example? Well, I mean, here's a really... Here's a hot take. If you go to work at, like, a food prep place and you're sick, and you do it willingly, that's an evil position. If you're the management that forces a sick worker to work at a food prep place while sick, that's actually kind of evil. I don't think anybody should do that, especially not in this modern times. Honestly, I feel like anybody that is currently, like, still vehemently anti-trans or gay generally is kind of an evil position.
Misogynistic people.
Oh, yeah, there's one.